When you sit down to tap, do you ever feel like you're at war with yourself? And I don't mean that you are fighting yourself actively, but the phrases you are tapping on is creating this internal sense of resistance and you're battling with yourself. And it can even feel like instead of making things better, you're actually making things worse. Well, today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how useful it is, how powerful it can be to tap on phrases that not only do we not believe intellectually, we know are fundamentally not true. Because when we use these phrases in the right way, it will actually unlock stories in our subconscious mind that's going to create a deeper and more lasting transformation from our tapping. This is Monterastelli, and welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast recorded live to tape in Williamsburg in Brooklyn. This is episode 657, originally aired April 9th, 2025. Hi, everyone. I hope this finds you well wherever you are and whatever time of day you're getting a chance to listen to this. Thanks for spending a little time with me today. One of the things that I love about working with clients, and it's just a small little fun thing that pops up, is the amount of information that my clients convey during a tapping session in a nonverbal way. And they convey a whole host of emotions, from the color of their skin, the posture of their body, the way that they move their eyes, and they can reveal surprise and insight where we're doing some tapping and they'll literally go, as they're tuning into it. Sometimes it's frustration about what is going on. And sometimes it is so extreme that when I'm giving a phrase for my clients to tap along to, and I'm sure they're not even aware of this, they'll literally roll their eyes at me as they're having to tap on that phrase. And when we do this, I don't take it personally. Instead, what this is it's an opportunity to get more information about what is going on. And one of the places that this shows up the most is when I'm having clients say phrases that intellectually they know is not true. Or I'm having them give me information that they intellectually know is not true. My favorite example of this is I asked a client a question and we were tuning into some resistance and she gave information. And in the middle of giving her answer, she literally went, I know that's not true. Why am I even saying that? Now, when we're tapping on phrases that are not true, when we're tapping on phrases that are causing us to go to a place that we know isn't or doesn't intellectually feel useful, there's two typical reasons why we resist those sorts of phrases. The first is it feels like a waste of time. Why am I tapping on these things that I know is not true? The second is there are times in which we're afraid that I'm saying something that is not true, and I'm worried that I'm going to be physically tapping it into my body and making it worse. We can't tap bad things in. Tapping is about clearing and releasing, so we don't have to worry about that. But for me, the thing that we need to keep in mind as we're engaging with this is the tapping phrases that I am saying are not for my conscious mind. They're not for my intellectual understanding. The tapping phrases that I'm saying are for my subconscious mind. And it's so weird because my conscious and my subconscious mind are part of the exact same brain, which is all part of me. And it feels very, very odd that those two parts aren't in harmony or they aren't communicating with each other. But there are times, like that example I gave with my client, where we got a piece of information from her subconscious mind, and as she was saying it out loud, she was like, that's not true. And so we're in the circumstance where there is this understanding in our subconscious and there's understanding in our conscious, and those two things can conflict. It almost feels like in my mind, like there is this wall, this severing, this separation between one part of the brain and the other. But the thing that I find so valuable is by saying the things out loud that I'm thinking in my conscious mind, my subconscious mind all of a sudden hears it and can push back on it. Or I'm articulating what is coming from my subconscious mind, and my conscious mind is able to say, that's simply not true. And so as we're doing this, it makes it so much easier for me to recognize it is okay. And it is actually useful for me to say things that are not true, because when I am working with my subconscious mind, what I'm doing is I'm negotiating with a 6-year-old. Or at least that's the type of vocabulary and that's the way I engage with it. So as a silly example, I want you to imagine that you are spending time with a 6-year-old and it's time for dinner. And the 6-year-old is lovingly cuddling Mr. Bunny, its stuffed animal that it so desperately loves in every single way. And it's time for dinner, and you, reasonably so, are worried that Mr. Bunny is going to get dirty during dinner. So you want to take Mr. Bunny away, but the 6-year-old needs Mr. Bunny. Just ask them. So what you do is you negotiate with the 6-year-old. You say, Mr. Bunny is going to sit right here on the shelf. And as Mr. Bunny sits right here on the shelf, you're going to be able to see Mr. Bunny the entire time. And when dinner's over, you can take Mr. Bunny down and you can go and play. So the 6-year-old, because you haven't taken the thing away from them, because they have a visual shot of where Mr. Bunny is, they're able to relax into it. Now, more times than not, when the meal is over, the 6-year-old has forgot about Mr. Bunny and they just run off and play. And later they might remember and they come and get it. But we are not trying to convince the 6-year-old of something. What we're doing is we're trying to negotiate so the 6-year-old engages with us. When I am tapping, when I'm saying things out loud, what I'm doing is I am communicating and I'm trying to elicit very particular responses from my subconscious mind. Which means that sometimes I am going to say things out loud, consciously, deliberately, that I know are not true. And for me, there are 3 valuable reasons why we do this. The first is it provides contrast. It's really interesting that when we are trying to make a decision in a vacuum, it's really hard for us to make a choice because there's this infinite number of choices that we can choose from. But the moment we have a data point, the moment we have an idea, there's contrast and it helps us to make a choice. So let's say, for example, you're in a circumstance where you want to repaint your living room and you don't know what to do. And so someone recommends you, maybe you should paint the living room red. Now, more than likely, painting your living room a bright red color isn't the most conducive thing to creating a comfortable living space. But the moment someone recommends the color red to you, your mind starts going, red doesn't work because of this, because of that. It's too much. I don't have things that match it. But this will work. And so by giving a piece of data that is useless because we know we're not going to make the choice, creates contrast to help us to make a better choice. So when I say something out loud that is not true, what it does is it creates a moment of contrast. And so when I'm tapping, what it does is my subconscious mind goes, no, actually, this is what is going on. So by saying something that isn't true, what I'm going to do is I'm going to elicit information from my subconscious mind that is going to help me to understand what's going on. I could say something like, I'm going to make $150 million in the next 3 weeks. Well, my subconscious mind is not going to abide that. And what it's going to do instead, it says, no, it's not because. Now, even if my goal isn't to make $150 million in the next 2 weeks, but wanting to grow my business, by creating something outlandish that is not going to happen, my subconscious mind speaks at truth, which all of a sudden gives me things that allow me to see what is going on, and it gives me information. So saying something isn't true uncovers the resistances. Number 2, we can say something that isn't true in an extreme, like that particular example, but what it does is it gives us the opportunity to see what's really going on. So for example, I might be afraid that this isn't going to work out. I'm going to put myself out there in the world and I'm going to fail dramatically. And so what I'll do is I'll say things that I know are not true to create some extremes. I'm going to put myself out there and everybody's going to judge me and my business is going to tank and I'm going to lose all of my money and I'm going to be living under a bridge and eating dinner out of trash cans. Now, it's possible I will not be successful. But by going to this extreme, which I know is not going to happen, me posting a video online, me publicizing my business is not going to lead me to living under a bridge. And by doing that, what it does is the subconscious mind starts to push back and state what is going on. The third reason that we say things that we know are not true is part of this negotiation with the subconscious mind, allowing it to let go of things so we can move forward. So all of the coping mechanisms that we have are tools. And so they are useful to us. So let's say sweet treats are a coping mechanism that help to soothe my emotions. And I have made the decision that I don't want to eat sweet treats before I go to bed because there are negative health connotations. It impacts my sleep. It impacts my energy. There's clear reasons why I don't want to do this. So what I will do, because my subconscious mind is clinging to this coping mechanism because it's helping me to cope, and that's a good thing, my subconscious mind doesn't want to let go of this tool. The exact same way our 6-year-old doesn't want to let go of Mr. Bunny. And so what we say when we're tapping is, I give myself permission to recognize the fact that this is a tool. And I'm going to put this tool down. And at some point in the future, if I need this tool again, I'm allowed to pick it back up. Now, that last part, if I need it in the future, I want to pick it back up again. I don't want to pick the tool back up again. I am saying something out loud that I do not believe. I do not believe in the future I'm allowed to pick this back up again. But again, this is not about the conscious mind. This is about the subconscious mind and its desire to have that tool close. So giving myself permission to pick down this tool so I can pick it up again in the future is no different than taking Mr. Bunny and putting him on the shelves. We're just going to put him down right here. In the future, you can reach for it again. Now, more than likely what is going to happen as I'm letting go of these less functional coping mechanisms and I'm leaning into more functional, healthier coping mechanisms, I'm never going to want to reach for the old tool again. And so it's okay for me to tap on and say, in the future, I can pick this back up again. Because what I'm really saying to the subconscious mind is, I know you want me to be safe. I know you want me to have access to tools that are useful, that are powerful, that are going to help me to move forward in that particular way. And so by saying something that I don't want and I don't believe is actually making it easier for my subconscious mind to get on board. So when we sit down to tap, we are not tapping on phrases that are true. We are tapping on phrases that will get an emotional response from our subconscious mind so we can tap on that emotional response so we can provide it with clear reframes so that we can negotiate with it so it lets go of the stories that it is carrying. And by doing it in that way, because we can't intellectually think our way to it because of that separation that we talked about earlier, by doing it in that way, by saying the things I know are not intellectually true, what I'm actually doing is I'm giving myself access to the subconscious mind. So rest assured, tapping on something that you know is not true is not tapping falsehoods into your subconscious mind. Tapping on things that you intellectually know are not true are an opportunity to get a response from the subconscious mind so we can create transformation. I cannot create transformation unless I have something to focus my intervention, my tapping, my transformation at. And so by saying things out loud that you don't believe is a great way to trigger your subconscious mind to figure out where you need to be tapping. So rest assured, it's okay. Try it. Say a bunch of things you don't believe while you're tapping. Say a bunch of things that you know are absurd while you're tapping. It doesn't matter what you're saying. What matters is how the subconscious mind responds. So play around with that. If you got any questions about that, I'd love to hear from you. If you got some concerns, I would also love to hear from you to continue the conversation. You can always drop me a note at support@tappingqna.com or leave a comment near this post so we get an opportunity to continue that particular conversation. Now, if you know someone in your life who would appreciate a conversation like this, please be our ambassador, pass it along. Don't spam your inbox, but you might know someone in your life who would be intrigued by an idea like this. And the beautiful thing is, if you reach out to them and they don't watch this, they don't listen to this, they don't engage with this, what's going to happen instead is they're going to feel good because they know someone is thinking of them. Now, two things before we get out of here. Number one, and this is something that is super, super brand new. I just started doing it a couple of episodes ago. It's an idea from Alex Schmidt, who does the Secretly Incredibly Fascinating podcast, a podcast that I love very, very dearly. At the end of every single episode, what he does is he uses a random number generator to point you to an older episode. Before I started recording, I did the exact same thing. And of our 656 previous episodes, the random number generator gave us episode 134, which is how to have a plan each time you sit down to tap, which is a conversation with founding EFT master and my friend Gwyneth Moss. It's an absolutely awesome conversation. If you'd like to engage with it, all you need to do is go to tappingqna.com/134 for episode 134, or you can just select a random number yourself and go tappingqna.com/ and enter that number, and who knows where it will lead you. Secondly, as you look at the screen right now, you will see a link to the entire archive of the Tapping Q&A podcast. We have almost 2 decades of content waiting there for you, over 250 hours of interviews, of training, of tap-alongs. Click on the link, dive in, and I look forward to talking with you and tapping with you again real soon. Bye-bye.